my first job was typing appraisals, and I was like right behind the sales floor. And I would just listen to my dad talk about diamonds. Hi, this is Kristi Widmar from Rasmussen Diamonds, owner and general manager. I'm also here with my sister, Katrina Sestacek.
Hello.
Katrina is a certified gemologist appraiser, and she's in charge of our appraisal department here at Rasmussen Diamonds. I also like to mention that she was a trainer for the Gemological Institute of America for many years, and she taught gemology to many people in our industry all throughout the country and in other countries as well. So she's a good partner to have here because today we wanted to discuss the 4 C's of diamonds. Last podcast we talked about kind of the origin of diamonds, where they came from, how they're mined, and now we get this beautiful diamond that has been the symbol of love and engagements for so long. And so many of our guests that come in have lots of questions about diamonds, rightfully so. I always say that diamonds are one of the things that, we kind of have some type of a working knowledge about a lot of different things that we might go out there with for a rather large purchase.
Most people have heard of the 4 C's, right?
People have heard of the 4 C's. Mm-hmm. Yep, but that's where it kind of ends.
They don't know about it a lot. Yeah.
So when we talk the 4 C's, that's the easiest way to start, and we can go in so much deeper than that.
Most people have heard of them, but not everyone fully understands them. So that's what we're going to help you out with a little bit here today.
Definitely.
The carat weight is the easiest. Kristi's going to show you that one with a wonderful little visual tool. Go ahead.
Well, it's interesting because many years ago, they really didn't have the ways that we can measure. I mean, right now we have an electronic scale. I think that's what you mostly use in your lab.
Correct.
And but back then they had to use the balance scales, and so in order for them to get a consistent weight, they would use a carat bean, which now this is actually a coffee bean, but it's about the same. They were very uniform in shape, and they would come from the pods of the carob tree, which was, I can't remember what country it's native in. But the carob bean was almost exactly the same size and weight. So when they would weigh that next to a diamond, they would say, well, this one weighs a carat, and base it off of that. So now that is an actual unit of measurement, and it's pretty simple because at this point we simply put it on a scale and it weighs what it weighs.
And it's equivalent to 200 milligrams basically, and what it is you can actually see we've done a little bit of information right here. 200 milligrams is the basic unit for a carat, and when it comes to a carat, we measure them similar to the way that we measure pennies in a dollar. So if I say I have a 1 carat diamond, it's 1.00 carats, like $1. Mm-hmm. But if I say I have a half a carat, it's going to be 0.50, but we often refer to them also in points. So if I say, for instance, I have just a little over a half a carat diamond, and it weighs 0.55 carats, I would call it a 55-point diamond. And a bit above a carat, say for instance I have a 1.5 carat, or 1.55 carat, we would say 1.55 as opposed to 1 and 55 points.
Yes.
So that's kind of how our terminology works as far as the carat weight. Yeah. That one there is always going to be the simplest. You put it on a scale, you get a weight.
Yep.
It's very uniform. But the one thing that we don't realize is that there are also price per carats, and the price per carat can jump up at areas that we call magic sizes. I mentioned 1 carat. Definitely one of the magic sizes. So the price per carat of a diamond that's just below a 1 carat versus a diamond that's just above a 1 carat or at 1 carat can be quite different, even if the rest of the grades or other factors are equal. So it's important to know how your diamond is cut, because the cut is a factor that is going to have a huge impact on the weight and whether or not it gets to that magic size. We're going to show you some examples of that in a minute. But let's go to the other 2 C's of clarity and color, which are graded universally throughout the world by the Gemological Institute of America's grading scale. And we're going to explain those 2 as well. And then we're going to get to what we feel is one of the most important, the cut. It's what makes your diamond beautiful. Which one would you like to start with first, Kristi? The color or the clarity?
Well, let's use Dad's analogy for color.
All right, I like that. We both grew up in the jewelry industry, and our father, who's a certified gemologist appraiser as well, has had many, many years of explaining color for people, and color in a diamond is actually not the amount of color. It's not even the body color. It's the lack of color more than anything. Diamonds on the normal color grading scale range from a light yellow to a light brown color to completely colorless. Diamonds that don't fall within that normal color grading scale, which actually has a letter designation, it goes from D all the way through Z. Any diamonds that don't fall on that scale are considered fancy color diamonds. Now these might be diamonds of any other color, because diamonds come in every color of the rainbow. We could have purple, we could have red, we could have blue. Some of them can be treated to those colors, some of them are natural. It's important to know the difference there. One of the big things I feel is really important is to understand that when you're on that normal color grading scale, how subtle the differences are between especially the first 10 grades. So Kristi, why don't you explain Dad's analogy on this one?
It's funny because when I was young and I was in high school and my first job was typing appraisals, and I was like right behind the sales floor, and I would just listen to my dad talk about diamonds, and it was right by the engagement ring case, and he would talk about color, and his analogy really made sense to me. And he said if you were to line up like 10 tall glasses of water, and in this first glass of water you didn't put anything in it. The second glass of water you put 1 drop of super pale yellow water, just yellow water into it. The second drop, 2 drops, the next cup, 3 drops, and so on down the line. You can imagine, you could see a progression of the color, but now mix all of those up and put one of them right here and tell me where that goes in that sequence of 10 cups. You would never be able to do it unless you had all of those to compare to each other. And when you're talking about 1 or 2 or 3 drops of super pale yellow water, it's really not a significant amount when you're talking about a tall glass of water. So that is really what we're looking at in color. Some people can see color much better than others too, which also puts another level of difficulty sometimes in color grading. So when Katrina does the color grading on a diamond, we have master comparison stones, actual diamonds that were graded by the Gemological Institute of America for color. And we have to use them under a special light and then we have to take the diamond upside down, preferably outside of the mounting, which doesn't always happen when you're doing appraisals, but upside down on a white background, and they have to be compared to these master comparison diamonds because it's that subtle.
Those subtleties are what we have learned to grade, and those special conditions that we have to have a diamond in to grade it accurately are very important too. So having an educated grader as well as a fully accredited gem laboratory like we have in our store is crucial, especially when we're talking about something as subtle as color. Those other colors of the rainbow that diamonds come in that fall on a completely different scale, you're also looking at a completely different ballpark as far as price. Mm-hmm. But we do have some beautiful both natural colored fancy colored diamonds in our store and some treated fancy colored diamonds in our store, and there's some really remarkable, it's really remarkable to see a diamond when it has a fancy body color other than the norm that we expect. It looks different than any other colored gemstone, and it really stands out in a crowd. So if you're interested, please come in and take a look at those.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that I do like to note about color for people that are looking to buy is that color doesn't mean bad in a diamond. Basically, color is there because nitrogen is present in the diamond in the crystalline structure, which is very common because nitrogen is a very common element in our earth. So it is not bad. The preference for some people is to have a little bit more of a warmth to their diamond. For others, it's to have very little warmth to their diamond. So basically the reason why there's such a price difference is because of rarity. To have a diamond that is completely colorless, which would be considered a D on that grading scale that we talked about, which is right here, that D going down to Z. If it is completely colorless, that diamond is extremely rare. So the price is going to go up because of rarity. So like I said, color is not bad in a diamond. It's definitely a personal preference, and we do have diamonds of all different color ranges, but for the most part, we kind of stay with the K to a D because that's where you're going to see diamonds that you would mostly see in an engagement ring. Beyond that, they start to have some very noticeable yellow, which then can be considered closer to a fancy colored and can be interesting.
Light yellow body colors we often refer to as champagne diamonds, which is a nice, more romantic name about it. But again, When it comes to that color, it's really, as Kristi had said, a rarity factor. And she said nitrogen is something that is very common in the earth, and it's something that's common that actually help diamonds to grow. But just as an interesting sidebar on this, and this is where I geek out a little bit sometimes about gems, is that...
No, you don't say.
Well, when it comes to diamonds, they're 99.95 to 99.98% pure carbon. I think I mentioned this in the last podcast, and that's one of the rare things about it. It's just such tiny trace elements of that nitrogen. It might be one atom of nitrogen per several millions of atoms of carbon that will create a little bit of a yellow body color. But if you're looking at other colors of the rainbow, boron is an actual element. It might take one atom of boron for several billion, not million, billion atoms of carbon to give you a blue body color. Manganese can give you a little bit of a red body color. And there's other trace minerals that can sometimes happen within that almost pure carbon substance of diamond that will create those unique body colors. So just having those rare factors there all come together in that kind of perfect storm to create that beautiful color is quite remarkable too.
That's the little side gem geek there.
Yes, I know.
Which I love. I love it. No, those are really fun things.
And then just to mention one other thing, you're probably noticing a lot out there on the market. Black diamonds are very, very popular now. We are finding that there are more finds of black diamonds, but there's also new treatments that have happened over the past several decades that allow us to have diamonds that might have had kind of a salt and pepper type look to them, maybe not quite as saleable because it wasn't uniform throughout, and they've been able to treat diamonds to make it a nice solid black color throughout, which has created some really amazing things as far as designs go in the industry. A lot of designers have taken them on, and then we're now seeing them as a very popular staple at this point in time. But because they do have a lot of inclusions that contribute to the color, their value is significantly, it's a very good price point basically. So it's a really good value as far as buying a black diamond. You can get a little bit larger stone, still that beautiful color and everything like that, but not at quite as high of a price.
So the next C would be clarity.
The clarity of a diamond has to do with the characteristics within the stone. Almost always when I say that to people, they say, do you mean flaws? And I say, technically you could call them that, but I really feel like it's kind of unfair because it's like saying if a person has a freckle, they've got a flaw.
Right.
And we all know that that can be very attractive too. So diamonds have character within them. Now, going back to some of the other stuff we learned from our last podcast, they're grown 150 miles below the Earth's surface in the mantle of the Earth. They're brought to the surface by volcanic reactions that are unlike any volcanoes that we've seen today, much more powerful and coming from way deeper within the Earth. They actually came to the surface of the Earth millions of plus years ago. All those factors put together, don't you think they'd have a few scars from their journey? All right, so therefore, I'd like to say it's character. It's something that shows that they've lived. It's something that shows that they've survived a very long time. That being said, we still do grade it. And when it comes to the clarity grading of a diamond, we're just like the body color of the diamond, we're looking for lack of inclusions are going to be at the higher grades. You've probably heard of a flawless diamond. Well, a flawless diamond means there's absolutely nothing within the diamond or there's nothing on the surface of the diamond at all. Not a single thing.
To 10 power magnification.
Exactly. And 10 power magnification, when as a grader, we take a look at it at 10 power, we establish the grade at 10 power, but we almost always use higher magnification to really scour that diamond to make sure there's nothing in it.
She'll have a diamond that's of super high clarity that, I mean, will take hours sometimes looking at this diamond to try to find something inside
just to make sure that we're not missing anything. And cleaning a diamond is a huge issue when it comes to clarity grading because diamonds are grease magnets. And we go, oh, there we go. We have a little something there. Finally, I found something. Nope, that's a piece of dust. So we're constantly cleaning our diamonds when we're clarity grading them. As you can imagine, clarity grading is a little more difficult if you've got prongs around the diamond as opposed to a diamond that's loose and out of a mounting. And so therefore we have to use reflections to try to look at the areas underneath the prongs. And we also have to resign ourselves to knowing that we can't fully see the entire diamond when we're clarity grading. So we are clarity grading, like I said, with limitations when it comes to being mounted. But flawless is going to be typically a collector's gemstone. I always like to use my little analogy here. I have this many diamonds that fall within the flawless range. in the industry, and this many that fall within the eternally flawless, which is the next grade down. The next category is very, very slightly included 1 and 2. Those are the ones that take me a half an hour to an hour to actually find the inclusions in it and determine for sure that they are inclusions. And there's about this many in the VVS 1 category and maybe this many in the VVS 2 category. The very slightly included category 1 and 2 have maybe this many and this many diamonds in them. Now, as you can imagine, see how much bigger those ranges get? When we get to the slightly included category, which is one of the most common categories, diamonds are going to have noticeable inclusions under 10 power magnification, but will probably not have inclusions that are visible without magnification. But SI1 and SI2 are about this big and this big, and you can imagine there's 3 more grades after these. They're in the included category, I1, 2, and 3, and those 3 grades are typically will have inclusions that are not going to be, that are going to be visible without magnification. And those grades can span the width of our showroom, to the width of our building, to the length of our block. That's how many diamonds fit within those categories.
Yeah.
So as you can imagine, it is important to be able to grade them accurately, especially in those upper grades with very few diamonds fitting that category.
But the interesting thing is these are all considered gem quality diamonds, and when you look at, I think we talked about it in the last podcast, about all of the diamonds that are mined, the percentage that are actually gem quality diamonds.
About 20%.
Yep.
Yep. So that's,
Yeah.
so you can imagine all the rest of those diamonds are going to be used for industrial purposes. They'll be ground up for diamond dust. They'll be used in diamond bits, diamond wheels, many different things are applications for the industrial uses of diamonds. So that 20% is where we're going to be putting them on these grading scales.
Yeah.
Before we move on to the last, or the 4th C, I want to talk to you a little bit about the industries that have created these standards for grading diamonds. The Gemological Institute of America was the institute, and we are using their information right here on our little board here, and they were the institute that actually came up with the grading scales. They've been around, actually they might be approaching about 100 years old soon, and their grading scales evolved over time, but since about the 1950s they've maintained consistency. And that's the VVS grades that we've been talking about here, the D through Z color grades. They invented the grading scales, but they did not patent it, because they didn't want it to just be proprietary for them. They wanted the industry to be able to use it. So in that particular case, the industry has used it. But it's something that's very important to note at this time, that not all laboratories that grade diamonds grade them in the same way that GIA set out in the very beginning. Some of them choose to grade the color of their diamond in the face-up position. And when a diamond is well cut, it appears to have much less body color than it does when you look at it in the face-down position. So their grades might be a little bit higher. So if you're ever looking at diamonds, especially if you're doing some searching online, make sure that you understand that one report graded by one laboratory might not be the same as the other report graded by another laboratory.
They are not all created equal.
Correct. But what I will always say is that because GIA, the Gemological Institute of America, created the scales, we will always follow their standards. The other industry that we work very heavily with is the American Gem Society, who is a sister company to the Gemological Institute of America, and this is where we get all of our credentials for appraising. They very much are there to guard the consumer and make sure that the jeweler that you're working with is fully educated. So I just want to give you a little sidebar on that, because not all reports are created equal, and it is important to know the standards at which you're grading at, so you know that you're comparing accurately too. And then, of course, it's also even better to be able to come in and talk with someone who understands this and can help guide you.
Yeah,
so feel free
definitely.
to give us a call or stop in, even if you're just curious.
Yeah, and before we get completely off of clarity, again, one of the things that I always like to tell our guests when they're looking at clarity is this is, again, a personal preference. But when we're looking at that grading scale, and she talked to you briefly about this flawless down to the SI2, and then we get into the I1, I2, I3. The I grades are the grades that you can see things with the naked eye. But anything from that SI2 and above on that grading scale, you cannot see anything without the naked eye, or with the naked eye, without using a microscope.
Yeah.
So this is all personal preference. You know, a lot of people, this will also affect that price. So a lot of people will go maybe in the VS or the SI range for clarity, because they can't see the difference between that diamond and a flawless diamond. So this is where we have some room to play around when we talk to you about diamonds and we help you to pick out the perfect one. Is we can definitely kind of discuss all of these grades and then see where it works best for you. This is the one that I personally worry about the least when I'm looking at diamonds. As long as it stays within those nicer ranges, we can always find a beautiful diamond. And sometimes the inclusions are actually really interesting. They've got some kind of a unique pattern in them, or a trapped crystal inside of them or something like that. So there's some unique identifying characteristics that we can sometimes find in there. So then we can move on to cut grade.
Okay. I will say there was one time I saw a diamond that had a small garnet crystal trapped inside of it. And because of its location within the stone, it caused a reflection of itself. And that reflection caused that diamond, that garnet crystal, which was red, to look like this inside of the diamond. So it was a diamond with a heart in it. And that inclusion was visible without magnification. So as you can imagine, the grade's a little bit lower. But did that diamond sell pretty quickly because it had a heart inside of it? Less than 24 hours.
It
stayed
sure
in the
did.
showcase.
It was so unique.
So the cut factor, and there's a reason that we waited to go to cut. Sorry, flipped one too far. The cut factor, for the longest time, people thought it meant the shape. Well, is it a heart shape? Because I just talked about a heart. Is it a round diamond, the most commonly cut diamond? Is it a princess cut diamond, one of the popular ones today, which is a square cut? Is it a marquise shape, which is the boat-shaped kind of, or football-shaped diamond? Or is it a pear-shaped diamond? That is the shape. Yes, it is a part of the cut, but it is still just the shape.
Right.
The cut are the proportions to which the diamond is cut. And there we look a lot of the times at the diamond in profile. As you can see here, we show the diamond in profile with a lot of different proportions listed. And what we really want to look at is how well that diamond takes all the light that goes inside of it, bounces it around inside of that diamond, and comes back to your eye through the top of the diamond. Now, it could come through the top of the diamond through the largest flat facet on the top, or through the crown facets that are at a little bit more of an angle. It doesn't matter where, but so it comes through the top as opposed to leaking through the bottom of the diamond. Because if the diamond leaks light, and this is just kind of one of our fun non-technical terms, but if that light just kind of comes out of the bottom of the diamond, it's not coming back to your eye and the diamond loses sparkle.
Yeah.
Any diamond's going to sparkle in our light, we say here, but we encourage people to look at the diamond in the sunlight near our windows, or to actually go in the shade and look at the diamond, because when a diamond performs with light, it's going to look bigger. It's as simple as that. But the big thing that most people don't realize is that because carat weight had such a huge bearing on the price for the longest time, diamond cutters cut the diamond for weight. And seeing as we still have our balancing scale out here, when it comes to cutting a diamond, we have to think of it as a balancing act. We can cut the diamond to make it weigh more, to make it bigger, to make it heavier. Or we can cut the diamond for beauty. And if we cut the diamond for beauty, we oftentimes have to scale away a little bit of that precious substance. We might have to make it weigh a little bit more. But I mentioned magic sizes in the very beginning. If that means I have to scale down that diamond and make it weigh 0.95 carats as opposed to 1.001 carat diamond, and I know that I'm going to get a lot more money as a cutter to cut it to a 1 carat diamond, don't you think I'm going to hedge it a little bit? I'm going to add just a little bit more, maybe make that girdle around the edge of the diamond a little thicker. Those are things that they'll do to save weight or keep that diamond to cause it to weigh a little bit more. But what it does for you when you're wearing that diamond doesn't make it look any bigger. It doesn't feel any heavier. I mean, we're talking about milligrams here, so, you know, our carat weight here. And it does not make it perform any bigger. So if you really want a diamond that performs better, stop looking at the carat weight. Look at a diamond and look at how it performs with that light that you give it. And if you're not paying attention to that carat weight, well, this is something I like to use as a nice example. Kristi and I are going to hold up a couple of different diamonds here.
So actually, back in 1919, a mathematician by the name of Marcel Tolkowski came up with an actual mathematical formula that if you were to cut to the diamonds, to a round brilliant cut diamond, to these proportions, the light that goes in will bounce off at the correct angles and come back to the eye. And so that's where the grading scale that we use, which is through the American Gem Society, is actually based off of.
And I'm going to interrupt you there for just a moment, if you don't mind. The American Gem Society spent over 10 years studying the cut grade, and they have established a cut grading system that it consists of 11 grades. It goes from 0 to 10. A little counterintuitive from when we say grade something on a rate of 0 to 10, 0 is actually the best in the cut and 10 is the worst.
Because they consider them deductions. So if it's cut the best, it has 0 deductions. So
yeah, that is absolutely correct. And when it comes down to it, they're graded for not just the proportions of the cut, they're also graded for light performance, they're graded for the polish of each of the facet surfaces, and the symmetry of the facets as well, how well they align with one another. So all those factors are considered there. And in this study, those 11 grades, fewer than 1% of diamonds are actually cut to the 0 cut, that best cut out there. In fact, the majority, about 80% of diamonds, are cut in a 5 and below range on that grading scale. That upper 80% are really the ones that are in that higher grade range there, exactly. I'm sorry, the upper 20%.
The cut grade, I think, is the one that seems to be the most misleading and the most confusing. And so many years ago, our dad purchased this diamond to use as a tool. We've never sold it, we never will sell it, because it's actually a fantastic show of what cut grade can do. So the diamond that she has, do you have the 1 carat? Mm-hmm. It's a 1 carat diamond that actually ends up being a 10 cut. So it's the worst on the scale. So you go ahead and tell me which ones you have here.
Okay, so first of all, what I have here are 2 diamonds that look very similar in their diameter measurement. If you look at it kind of closely, they look about the same size, okay? And when it comes to the cut, even the worst cut diamond still performs with light better than most colored gemstones. It has a very high refractive index. There's a reason diamonds are in a category all their own.
Yeah.
But this diamond here has almost the same diameter measurement of this one. But this one weighs almost 25% more than this diamond. This is a 1 carat diamond. This diamond was cut for weight and weight alone. This diamond here was cut for beauty, and it was cut to 3/4 carat, 75 points exactly. Now I'm going to bring out what a 1 carat diamond should look like. And you can see right off the bat, it looks bigger. When it comes down to it, this diamond has a larger diameter measurement, and because it is cut well, it actually gives you performance from edge to edge. When a diamond is poorly cut, the first place the performance goes down is around the perimeter. What does that do? Makes the diamond look smaller. If it already has a smaller diameter, because this diamond that is poorly cut, well, they made it deeper on the bottom of the diamond. They made the girdle, the edge of it, much thicker. You can add up to 5 points in weight and for that thicker girdle there.
Yeah.
Sometimes even 10, depending if you're looking at much larger diamonds. And in doing so, you can get into a bigger weight category and a higher price per carat. But if you're buying that diamond as a symbol of love, what do you care? Seriously, why do you care about the number at which that it weighs?
You should care about how beautiful it looks.
Exactly. So really, when it comes down to it, take yourself away from those numbers and look a little bit more at what that diamond says to you. See how it speaks to you. See the light performance that it gives to you.
Yeah.
That's why we feel the cut is the most important and why we saved it for last.
Yeah. And so from a consumer point of view, this 1 carat diamond that's poorly cut is more expensive than
the 3/4 carat.
3/4 carat diamond that has the exact same diameter, because it's a 1 carat. But if you were to look at them next to each other and did not know their weight, I think just about everybody would pick the 3/4 carat because it's prettier and they look exactly the same size. But that 1 carat diamond that's poorly cut is less expensive than the 1 carat diamond that is well cut, rightfully so. The well cut 1 carat diamond looks bigger, it looks prettier, so rightfully so. But this is where it gets super confusing when people don't understand cut grade. And cut grade is not used all that often, especially not through the American Gem Society. And it gets super confusing when you think you're comparing one diamond to the next, and we see it all the time. Even, guests that might have come in that looked, did some research online, and they're like, I did research online and I saw this diamond that has the exact same clarity, color, carat weight, cut as this diamond, and they're $1,000 difference in price. Why is that? And that's because they're not really seeing the full picture. Oftentimes it's cut. It's not always cut. There are other factors, and we certainly can get into that and talk about that if we need to when you stop in. But the cut grade usually is the one that throws people off. And that's why we love to educate our guests and let them see this difference. And then you know what it is that you're actually buying. oftentimes we've had people buy, probably one of our most popular sizes is a .90 or 90 point, 80 point diamond. The diamonds that are just shy of a 1 carat because they look much bigger than what people are actually seeing as 1 carats, and they're amazingly cut. We do very much specialize in the well-cut diamonds. We generally have in stock 3 or above, I think, is what we usually try to keep in stock. So.
I will also mention that the Gemological Institute of America does have a cut grading scale, but they only have 5 grades. It's the excellent, very good, good, fair, and poor. So we use the American Gem Society's cut grading scale because of the fact that it's broken it down into 11 grades, and it's a little bit more precise, basically. The other reason that we use it is that we have a fully accredited gem laboratory in back, and one of the machines that I use regularly is called a Sarin machine. The Sarin machine actually will measure a loose diamond, all the proportions, all 58 facets on that diamond, and how they relate to one another. They will give you a cut grade, and they will also give you a light performance grade. And they do use the American Gem Society cut grading scale. It's something that I know how to measure and can measure on a diamond when it's in the mounting. I'm always limited by the mounting, of course. But it will take me 10 times as long to do it in a mounting than if it were I had it out of the mounting and I can put it on the Sarin machine, because it is measured by lasers, so it's pretty fantastic that way. But we can also kind of correlate how the GIA and the AGS cut grading scales correspond to one another, and we do have reports from both laboratories when we work with at different times, as well as our own laboratory in back when we work with diamonds and we get diamonds in for you.
Yeah, every diamond that we get in, we do grade ourselves, even though oftentimes we'll get a diamond that already has a certificate, a grading report, not a certificate. We could get into that in another podcast. But oftentimes we'll get one that already has a grading report. We always will grade them, look at them. I will never buy a diamond without, just like online or whatever, without seeing it. And then we always use the Sarin machine and get a cut grade, because oftentimes those grading reports do not include cut grades, but we do. So, that's one of the things that we do in the background all the time before we're bringing any of our diamonds out to show to our guests. It's very important to us that we educate. It's very important that we really do zero in on that quality and that cut grade especially. I always look when we're buying diamonds, and I think Dad always was that way, and you're that way when you're looking at it. Would I be happy to sell this to my best friend? Would I be happy to sell this to one of my family members?
Would I want to wear it myself?
Would I want to wear it? Yeah, and I think, that we kind of filter that through all the time. And no diamond is the same as the next. And so we find a lot of really unique things with all of these, and hopefully, I know we gave you a lot of information here talking about diamonds, but hopefully we gave you a little bit of a base knowledge to help you, and know that, of course, every single one of us here is certainly able to help answer any questions and help you to pick the perfect one that really fits everything that is right for you. And that's what we love to do. It's something that we find a lot of joy in, and we obviously a lot of passion and learning about it, so that we can do the best for you guys on our end. So come and see us. If you have any other questions, give us a call, send us a message.
We're always happy to help.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Thanks for
listening today. We had a lot of fun.